Brian Weaver, the lead instructor at Homeschool Martial Arts, and this is a series of short videos to kind of give you some basic information about how we train certain things on the mat during class, so that as you're practicing at home, you're keeping those understandings and those perspectives and that philosophy in your mind as you train, continuing to grow as a martial artist. So this video is an opportunity to learn to quickly recognize and see how we train kicks at HMA DFW. Every kick has at least 4 movements that must take place in the kick. Now, as you increase your capacity and you progress throughout your belt rank at HMA DFW, some of the kicks later on in your belt progression might involve a couple additional steps, but every kick comes with 4 main steps for the kick. The first is your chamber, the second is your kick, rechamber, and then lastly, set down. So those 4 steps again are chamber, kick, rechamber, set down. And as I say in class over and over again, the most important of those steps is the rechamber, and we will talk about why. So I'm gonna do the basic snap kick, is what white belts learn as they are preparing for and training for their yellow belt at HMA DFW. So all of our students at HMA DFW, if they haven't already, are learning or will have learned the snap kick. And so it's one of the most basic kicks. It's also one of the easiest to show how those 4 steps interact. So as I said, again, those 4 steps are chamber, kick, rechamber, set down. So the first, that chamber step, if I'm in my left foot fighting stance and I'm gonna do a number 1 snap kick, that's going to be with my front leg. My chamber is actually going to determine where that kick lands on my target or my opponent. And what I mean by that is if my snap kick, I'm aiming for between the belly button and the top of the knee. So I'm aiming for the groin region on my target. It's a great self-defense technique. I tell my students all the time, it's the first kick that I'm probably gonna throw in an actual self-defense situation because it's easy to do. It's a natural movement for most people, and it's quick and fast. So my chamber, if I'm aiming for the groin region, right, between my belly button and the top of my knee, if I'm aiming for that region on my opponent, then my chamber needs to go to about that area on my body, right? So let me show you from the side. Again, I'm in a left foot fighting stance, okay? My chamber is gonna come up to about my belt level. The reason that I do that is because my knee becomes the pivot point for my kick. And so if my chamber is way down here, meaning I don't really have a chamber, when I try to kick out, I'm gonna kick my opponent in their shins. Okay, so that's not the point of the kick. That's not going to be very effective on my opponent in a real life self-defense situation. So I wanna get that chamber a little bit higher. So if I'm aiming again for that groin region, I'm gonna get my chamber up to about my belt level. Okay, now when I throw my kick, it goes exactly where I'm wanting it to go. Right? So again, my chamber determines where my kick is gonna go. That is true for all of the kicks, no matter where you are in your belt progression, your chamber determines where your kick goes. And so that may change, where the chamber goes, may change where the kick goes based on the actual target for the kick. But for the sake, again, of the snap kick, I'm trying to get it about my belt level, okay, which most people can do. All right, it may take you a little bit of work to gain that balance. Keeping your hands up in that fighting stance will certainly help. Making sure you have a good fighting stance, my knees kind of bent, will also help with that balance. So I'm gonna get my chamber up, and then I'm gonna throw my kick out, right? And in this case, with that snap kick, I'm trying to hit with the shoelace part of my foot. So I tell the students, ballerina toes, point them toes down to the floor, right? That way I kick with that top part of my foot. But I'm gonna chamber, I'm gonna kick, and I'm gonna rechamber and set down. All right, now, as I said before, the most important step in any kick is the rechamber. And the reason why, and we discussed this in class, the reason why is that if I chamber and I kick, right, even if it's a great kick and it lands exactly where I want it to be, but I leave my leg out here, my opponent still has a chance to do what? Reach down and grab my leg, all right? And if they get a hold of my leg while it's extended out in a kick, I'm in a world of trouble, all right? Because now they have control of my balance, which means they get to decide whether I stay on my feet or not, and what happens next in our sparring match, or in a real life situation, what happens next on the street. And so we always want to make sure we bring our kick back. So when we are doing like a snap kick, right, I'm going to chamber, kick, rechamber, set down. Before I drop my leg, I need to bring it back, because then I control where it goes, right? So I'm going to chamber, kick, rechamber, set it down. Every kick at HMA DFW will have at least those 4 steps. Chamber, kick, rechamber, set down. And student, for you to remember, the most important part of those steps is the rechamber. Get your foot, your leg back so that your opponent can't take control. Right now, as always happens, well, what about this? What happens if this? Mr. Brian, what if, right? That's actually the number one reason the rechamber is so important, is it controls the what if. So even if I land that kick, right, and maybe I don't land it very hard, I don't kick as hard as I expected, or maybe my placement of the kick is slightly off from the intended target, right? My opponent can still reach down. Okay, well, what if you land the kick perfectly, right? And it's right on target, it's powerful, it's strong, and your opponent is in pain. Well, if I land my snap kick where I'm intending to land it, right? Again, the groin region. If I land that kick, my opponent is probably going to go down, right? And if they're going down, they're going to go down one of 2 ways. Either they're going to go down face first into the ground, okay? Or they're going to go down with their arms out like this. Either situation, if I leave my leg extended in that kick and they go down like this, they're going to go down on my leg. So I want to make sure I pull that back so that they have less of a chance to grab it, to fall upon it, to take control of me when I'm trying to defend myself and get out of the situation as soon as possible. I hope this helps a little bit understand why we talk about those 4 steps and why the rechamber step number 3, why that step is so important as we develop and grow in our kicks. So students, as you're training this at home, I do want you to practice the chamber. I want you to get the chamber where it belongs, practice the kick as it needs to be, but even more importantly than that, right? So practice, practice, practice. Practice all 4 steps. Chamber, kick, rechamber, set down, as all 4 steps are vitally important to ensuring that your kick goes where it's supposed to go, it hits the target like it's supposed to hit it, and it keeps you safe and in control in a self-defense situation. We'll see you guys on the mat.